Hey YouTube, it's Eric. I'm back with another video. In this video, I'm going to be covering just like a reoccurring pattern that I've been coming across. I've just been doing a little digging on the surface on like who some of these like big time celebrity lawyers are. Celebrity lawyers. I've already did videos on my channel previously. I covered the O.J. Simpson case, which was like a racket. It was all just to create racial division and hatred in America. This is the O.J. Simpson case. I pointed out is what brought the Kardashians onto the scene. Kim Kardashian, even in an interview with Vogue magazine, credited her work ethic to her Catholic schooling. All the Kardashian kids were Catholic schooled, but the father, Robert Kardashian, was a devout Catholic who went to the Catholic University of San Diego. But the two other lawyers on the O.J.'s dream team, who became big celebrity lawyers. I'll show you who else they represented. Includes like Snoop Dogg, Tupac. Snoop Dogg had that like fake trial back in the '90s to prop him up as like a gangster figure that Johnny Cochran did. So I'll show you that. But it's a reoccurring theme I found. The other lawyer for OJ, Mark Shapiro, went to Loyola Marymount with Johnny Cochran. And you'll see it's a reoccurring theme that I've seen with celebrities. I'm going to show you just some powerful, prominent Washington lawyers from back in the day, like Edward Bennett Williams and Edward Hogan. But let's start here. This was to start. So this is the lawyer for Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban had an insider trading case that he didn't get any punishment for. That his Jesuit lawyer got him off in 2013, but I found out Mark Cuban's lawyer here, Thomas Melsheimer, went to the Jesuit Dallas Prep School in Dallas. You see here, the lawyer Thomas Melsheimer, who went to Jesuit Dallas Prep in 1979, was awarded a Distinguished Alumnus of Medal Award in 2016. There's the photo. You see the word Jesuit in the background. Jesuit Dallas Homecoming. So I'm just going to read a bit from this article. Quote, so now one of the most, quote, sought-after trial lawyers in the country, freshman Thomas Melsheimer, marked by his stutter and incessant perseverance, began his Jesuit career with the dream to play college basketball. So how does this seemingly impossible equation produce one of the most decorated trial lawyers of today? Melsheimer not only met these obstacles, but probably soared to new heights. And here he is speaking at the Jesuit prep school here. Thomas Melsheimer, alumnus of 1979, integration of the profile of the graduate at graduation into his eminent legal career earned him recognition Thursday, November 4th, as Jesuit's Distinguished Alumnus of 2016. You see, a graduate of 1979, Melsheimer then attended the Catholic University of Notre Dame and went on to graduate 3 years at the University of Texas. And you see, he served as a legal clerk for the Honorable Homer Thornbury. I think that was let me see who this is here. I just haven't heard that name. Oh, this is a Chief Justice or a local justice. Yes, he was on the Court of Appeals. So the Mark Cuban's Jesuit-trained lawyer served as a clerk for this judge here, Homer Thornbury, before kicking off his own legal career. And you see Melsheimer has remained the forefront of his field, representing high-profile companies. Oh, I bet. And individuals such as Mark Cuban, Texas Instruments, and Bank of America, which the Jesuits had a controlling interest in, 51%, and was founded by a Knight of Malta, A.P. Giannini. He's done work for Texas Instruments, Bank of America, Mark Cuban, and serves as a principal of Fish and Richardson. You see here, he serves on Jesuit Dallas's Foundation Board of Trustees. Read what's in the highlight. He also founded the Albert Melsheimer Memorial Scholarship that provides need-basis financial aid to students currently attending the Jesuit Dallas Prep School. Oh, that's cute. But you see here this is his Thomas Melsheimer's close affiliation with Jesuit Dallas Prep is not mentioned on his Wikipedia page. Neither is his going to the Roman Catholic University of Notre Dame. It only mentions him going to the University of Texas. You see here, he was the counsel for Mark Cuban right here, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks. Mark Cuban is a celebrity. Mark Cuban does the Shark Tank show, I think still. And he's on TV quite a bit. He's on ESPN as an analyst even. Apparently, he also represented this whistleblower. Let's say Mark Cuban's lawyer is a Jesuit lawyer. Here, here's a photo of him again here. Thomas Melsheimer. And just the first the lawyers I mentioned at the beginning of this video. I'm just going to briefly cover this because I did a video. I covered these names in my video on O.J. Simpson. But there's Robert Chaparro here. You see, he defended the O.J. Simpson, like he was O.J. Simpson's lawyer, one of the biggest celebrity murder trials in like the history of like the planet. That's what it's it's what like kicked off the whole ridiculous idea of like a televised trial, which is all Jesuit theater. But Robert Chaparro defended O.J. Simpson. You see here, he went to Loyola Law School. Okay. Interestingly, he also pledged to the Jewish fraternity Zeta Beta Tau while he was at UCLA, but he went to Jesuit Loyola Law School. So he's a Jesuit-trained lawyer. And on top of O.J. Simpson, Jesuit-trained Robert Chaparro has represented Daryl Strawberry, Jose Canseco, Vince Coleman, Johnny Carson, Christian Brando, the rapper Old Dirty Bastard. That's funny. Linda Lovelace. He's represented the Kardashians and F. Lee Bailey. So you see, he played a crucial role in the defense and the O.J. Simpson trial with his other Jesuit-trained lawyer on the Dream Team, Johnny Cochran, and with Roman Catholic Robert Kardashian. He's here on top of it. Jesuit-trained Robert Chaparro has represented Black China. Black China is like a classic example of like a celebrity who's famous for no reason, whose like pure goal is to just distract the masses with nonsense. He represented the colorful Malibu psychiatrist stem cell marketeer William C. Rader. Let me see here. He was listed as one of the most 100 influential lawyers in America. But this guy, he's one of the most powerful celebrity lawyers out at like on the market at this point. If any celebrity gets into shit, Robert Chaparro will be on their top 5 list of lawyers to call, no doubt. Here's Johnny Cochran right here. Johnny Cochran also defended O.J. Simpson. He also defended Michael Jackson, Tupac Shakur, Todd Bridges, football player Jim Brown, Snoop Dogg, former heavyweight champion Riddick Bowe, and the 1992 L.A. riot beating victim Reginald Oliver Denny, and inmate activist Geronimo Pratt. He represented Geronimo Pratt. He represented athlete Marion Jones. Okay, I remember that the doping scandal. It's funny that Johnny Cochran was your lawyer. He said, where did Johnny Cochran go to school? Oh, Loyola Law School, right there. I'm just going to point out this is a reoccurring theme. I see these celebrity lawyers going to Jesuit schools. Here's another one here. This is Mark Geragos. He's an American criminal defense attorney lawyer. He's considered, quote, a celebrity lawyer. He has represented Michael Jackson, Winona Ryder, Gary Conduit, Susan McDougal, you see, Scott Peterson, and Scott Barney. Geragos represented suspended NASCAR driver Jerry Mayfield, Paul and Kubar Diwali, 2 brothers injured after a tiger escaped in the San Francisco Zoo. And this guy was Chris Brown's lawyer, with this case with Rihanna. He was said to have beaten up Rihanna, and he didn't get in any legal trouble with that. I think that was due to his Jesuit lawyer. You see here, he pleaded guilty to the assault of his then girlfriend Rihanna, but he didn't serve any time. He also assisted in the family of David Carradine in the aftermath of his accidental death. And Mark Geragos, where did he go to school? Loyola Marymount University, which is a private Jesuit university. Okay, and Mark Geragos was he's a CNN lawyer. I'll show you a picture of him. This guy's on CNN all the time. He was covering. He was when the whole Jesuit theater was going on with Trayvon Martin psyop. Like George Zimmerman was a devout Roman Catholic, and you can see the photos. Trayvon Martin's dad was made like a 33-degree Mason like a day after the shooting. But this Mark Geragos was on CNN like throughout that whole Jesuit theater puppet show, just injecting sophism and this meaningless rhetoric. I even before I like had my Jesuit red pill, like I knew this guy was just like full of shit watching him on CNN. But this is his photo here. Mark Geragos. He went to Loyola Law School, lawyer for Chris Brown, and he represented some other high-profile celebrities such as Michael Jackson. You can see videos of this guy on CNN. You see right here, he was even talking about the whole recent psyop with Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick, like the Jesuit-trained Johnny Cochran I mentioned earlier, is in the Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity. And this whole Colin Kaepernick taking a knee thing, like it's a pathetic rebellion against the NFL. It's all this great racial division in the United States. Okay, but this is Mark Geragos. He's a Jesuit-educated celebrity lawyer. There's quite a few of them. Yeah, and actually just going, this guy's super powerful here. This is Robert S. Bennett. He's an American attorney and partner at Schaeffler and Ornato LLP, best known for representing Jesuit President Bill Clinton, Jesuit-trained U.S. President Bill Clinton during the Monica Lewinsky scandal. Bennett is also famous for representing Judith Miller in the Valerie Plame CIA Grand Leak investigation case. He represented Caspar Weinberger, the U.S. Secretary of Defense, during the Iran-Contra scandal. I'm going to show you Oliver North's lawyer, and Oliver North is currently on Fox News. I saw a hilarious clip of Fox News asking for Oliver North's input on the current Iranian situation. You know, when this guy was completely implicated in the Contra scandal, which involved sending millions of dollars to funding insurgency groups in Iran. This is hilarious. But you see here, Robert S. Bennett represented Clark Gifford in the Bank of Credit and Commerce scandal. He represented Paul Wolfowitz in the World Bank scandal. Robert S. Bennett served as a special counsel to the Senate Ethics Committee investigation of the Keating Five. Yeah. Bennett was hired by John McCain to defend allegations by the New York Times of an improper relationship with a Washington lobbyist. He's John McCain's attorney. Interesting here, Robert S. Bennett graduated from Jesuit Brooklyn Prep High School. That's where the football coach Joe Paterno did that completely oversaw and enabled the pedophilia ring that was going on at Penn State. Joe Paterno was Jesuit trained in Opus Dei, good Catholic. But Robert S. Bennett also went to Jesuit Georgetown University, where he was a member of the Philademic Society. Oh, would you look at that? And you see he served as a clerk for Howard F. Corrigan, a judge on the U.S. District Court of the District of Columbia. Let's see if this guy went to Georgetown. He didn't. Let me see here. Howard Francis Corrigan. Robert was an employee of this guy for a little bit. You see here, he went to work for Hogan and Harston. I'm going to show you the lawyer Hogan, who defended the Papal Knight Ed Doheny during the Teapot Dome scandal and got him off. He also worked at the massive Wall Street law firm Skadden Arps Megger Flom LLP. You see here, Bennett served as a member of the National Review Board for the Protection of Children and Young People, created by the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops from 2002 to 2004. Very sacrilegious. So this guy's super plugged in. I'm just gonna show you a picture of him. This guy was the in terms of celebrity, he's representing more of the deep state, but he was Bill Clinton's lawyer during the whole Monica Lewinsky psyop during the 90s. But this is his photo here. And he's Jesuit trained at Brooklyn Prep in Georgetown and a member of the the committee to protect what was that name here? Yeah, he's on the National Review Board for the Protection of Children and Young People, created by the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops. That's makes you cringe. Okay, continuing here. This guy, I thought this was fascinating because I've done a bit of research into the West Memphis 3 case that I think that was in the 80s in the United States. And from the research I did, I think that these three they're kind of like skids. They were very into Aleister Crowley, the left hand path type of mysticism. And there was these 3 kids in Memphis that were ritually murdered in the woods, and celebrities like Johnny Depp came to the aid of these guys. A bunch of celebrities came to the aid of these West Memphis 3 these 3 individuals. I saw there was even what was the channel? NBC Dateline even did a show on it, covering how a bunch of celebrities came to the defense of these guys. But I found out that the lawyer for the West Memphis 3, the Stephen L. Praga, was very plugged into the Jesuits. You see here, look at his background. He received the West Memphis Three's lawyer, who eventually got them off for the murder of these three little boys. He went to Fairfield University, and then went to Jesuit Georgetown, where he was an editor of the Georgetown Law Journal. Would you look at that? And he taught law at Georgetown University. Look at that. Braga taught law as a professor. Could you like get a more Jesuit plugged-in lawyer to represent the case? I'll show you this, Stephen L. Braga. But like, there's research out there. Like, I'm not going. I don't know all the ins and outs of the case, but like, there's lots of evidence that like the West Memphis Three were actually indeed guilty, and all the celebrities that came to their defense was to like cover up that they actually did murder these kids. And this is his lawyer here, Stephen Braga, professor at Georgetown, editor of the Georgetown Law Journal, educated at Georgetown, and educated at Jesuit Fairfield University. Super plugged in. Okay, so this is like a reoccurring theme I see over and over again with celebrity lawyers. Okay, here's another example here. Brendan Sullivan. He was a senior partner at the law firm Williams and Connolly. Sullivan is a white-collar criminal defense attorney, best known for his defense of U.S. Marine Lieutenant Colonel Oliver North in the wake of the Iran-Contra scandal. So Oliver North's attorney was Jesuit trained. He is known for his combative style, and several prosecutors have been fired, disbarred, or jailed for prosecutorial misconduct Sullivan had uncovered. He also represented Microsoft, the former U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development Secretary Henry Sinceros, Walter Forbes, and he represented the lacrosse players in the Duke lacrosse case. I'm not familiar with that. Oh, apparently they were falsely accused of rape. I wonder if their Jesuit trained attorney had a part to play in that. You see here, Sullivan is a graduate of Georgetown University. We looked at. He served as a captain in the U.S. Army Transportation Corps. He entered the national spotlight. He helped defend soldiers charged in the Presidio mutiny in San Francisco. He also apparently his courtroom tactics so annoyed his army superiors that he was ordered to return for Vietnam. So he served in Vietnam in like the crusade that placed the devout Catholic Ngo Diem in power over in Vietnam, and then they needed to enact another false flag with like the Gulf of Tonkin to continue the crusade once like the public support went down. You see here, look at this. Afterwards, though, a Georgetown law professor introduced Edwin Sullivan to Edward Bennett Williams, who I'm going to show you a bit in this video, a prominent defense attorney. Sullivan joined his law firm Williams and Connolly, where he, quote, enticed his new mentor to visit his office by offering Williams his beloved, quote, peanut butter crackers, according to an interview with the Washingtonian. You see here, he represented Oliver North, okay? He also represented Ted Stevens. And like, if you want to watch some good comedy, watch Oliver North on Fox News talking about like the situation in Iran. It's pretty good comedy. He also defended New York Stock Exchange CEO Dick Grasso, who was sued by the then Attorney General of New York, Elliot Spitzer, in 2004. You see here, Sullivan spoke at the 2011 commencement speech at Georgetown University. Interesting there. Let's see what he says. He was given a doctorate of law by Georgetown University in 2011. But what did he say here at Georgetown? He said, quote, Sullivan explained to PBS investigators during an investigation of overzealous persecution that, quote, the heat of the battle was responsible for leading honest, upstanding prosecutors to forget prosecutorial ethics. He said that they, quote, see almost everyone they deal with as a law violator, end quote. Something he calls, quote, the Al Capone mentality. Very ironic coming from him. But you see, this guy was very, very plugged into the Jesuits here, Brendan Sullivan. I'll show you a picture of this guy. I think I linked these links in the description, so you can check out these. Here's the lawyer here. And yet another Jesuit-trained, high-profile celebrity lawyer who also defends massive corporations and treasonous government officials. This guy also gatekeeped for, I bet, I'm going to look more into the case now, but I bet those, the Duke lacrosse team did, in fact, rape those girls, and I bet this guy gatekeeped for it, just like Stephen Braga gatekeeped for the West Memphis Three. It got them out. Here's another one here, Plato Chicheris. See, Plato Chicheris, apparently this guy's still alive. He's an American lawyer. You see, your son of the Greek immigrant born in Washington, D.C., Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. His father co-owned a chain of restaurants, including a historic downtown restaurant, The Waffle Shop. He joined the U.S. Marine Corps as an officer candidate, but he left to enter the law school. Where did he go to law? Where else did he go to school? Plato Chicheris graduated from the Edmund Walsh School of Foreign Service at Georgetown. I'm going to highlight that. And Chicheris received his Juris Doctorate from the Georgetown University Law Center. He also defended. So, like, let's see who some of his clients were. Plato Chicheris defended Attorney General John Mitchell, trained at Fordham, a Watergate scandal figure. And that's another. I'm going to do a video on that. All the figures that come up in Watergate were trained by the Jesuits. You see here, John Mitchell. Where did he go to school? Fordham University Law School. Okay. So here's another key figure that came up in Watergate. G. Gordon Liddy, also a former FBI agent. Liddy was convicted of conspiracy, burglary, and illegal wiretapping for his role in the Watergate scandal. Let's see where he went to school. Oh, he went to Fordham University. Would you look at that? Well, according to the former Fordham president, Robert Ignatius Gannon, the FBI and Fordham have the same ideas. Maybe that's why, like, when the FBI was covering up the Jesuit-trained Opus Dei Joe Paterno and the Roman Catholic Jerry Sandusky's, or I think Sandusky was an Episcopalian, his parents were Catholic. When the FBI was covering up that whole scandal, who did the FBI get to investigate, like, the quote-unquote Sandusky report? It was Louis Freeh, the Opus Dei director of the FBI. That was, like, the director of the FBI, like, when the Waco massacre happened back in the 90s. G. Gordon Liddy was also educated at Fordham. So when you look into, like, the Watergate figures, they all come back to the Jesuits. And G. Gordon Liddy and John Mitchell is just two examples of that. And when the actual Watergate complex itself, was completely funded by Vatican money via the Societe Generale Immobiliare. Like, the Fortune magazine will even tell you that. You see here, Plato Chacharis also defended Fawn Hall, a secretary of Oliver North. So all the key figures implicated in the Iran-Contra scandal had Jesuit attorneys. He also defended Congressman Michael Oz Myers in the ABS cam scandal. I haven't looked into all these scandals, but, like, I'm just pointing out that. Oh, actually, this guy defended Robert Hansen. No way, the Opus Dei FBI agent who betrayed America and gave ton of military secrets and nuclear formulas and nuclear secrets to the Soviet Union. Look at that. And Plato Chacharis allowed Robert Hansen to avoid the death penalty in exchange for complete cooperation in revealing his activities to the government, but not to the public. Of course not. Well, but Plato Chacharis was Robert Hansen's attorney. Wow. He was also he got a plea bargain for Aldrich Ames, the CIA officer turned Russian agent that enabled his wife to receive a later jail sentence for aiding and abetting Ames espionage. He also defended Lawrence Franklin from the AIPAC Lobbyist Espionage Act conspiracy. That's very interesting. Yeah, so this is that was a conspiracy of military aid to Iran and Israel. You see here, Edward Snowden supposedly retained Chacharis to negotiate a plea deal with federal prosecutors to return him to the U.S. and would spare him significant prison time. But the Times noted that nearly after a year that Plato Chacharis came involved, negotiations remained at an early stage and no agreement appears imminent. That's interesting, though, that Snowden reached out to this super plugged-in Jesuit-trained lawyer. But I'll show you a picture of this guy here, Plato Chacharis. There he is here. He says he's still alive, 89 years old. There's a photo of him here. Looks like he's made a few television appearances. There's another shot of him. And then I mentioned Edward Bennett Williams. Edward Bennett Williams was very close to, well, what was it? Wait a second here. Brendan V. Sullivan was very close with Edward Bennett Williams. Okay, I'm going to pull up Edward Bennett Williams here. Edward Bennett Williams, on top of being educated at Georgetown, was a Knight of Malta. You can see that even on the New York Times, they covered that. You see right here in the article, Knights of Malta and U.S. picking new chief. Edward Bennett Williams also owned the Washington Redskins at one point. We see here he was Washington D.C. trial attorney who founded the law firm Williams and Connolly. I saw there was a biography that was written on Edward Bennett Williams. I want to get my hands on. I forget the name of the biography. I think it was written in like 1993. You see, Edward Bennett Williams owned several sports teams, and he was born in Hartford, Connecticut. Studied law where? Georgetown. So look at some of his. He represented many high-profile clients, including Sam Giancana, John Hinckley Jr., the Roman Catholic who attempted to assassinate Ronald Reagan, who was very close with the Bush family. Edward Bennett Williams represented the Roman Catholic Frank Sinatra, American singer and actor. He represented financier Robert Lee Vesco. He represented Playboy publisher Hugh Hefner. He represented the spy Igor Melicky. He represented Jimmy Hoffa. Look at that. He represented Frank Costello, the mobster. He represented oil commodity trader Mark Rich. He represented Jesuit-trained devout Roman Catholic Joe McCarthy, who's terrorizing America with his communist witch hunts, being spoon-fed everything, though, by the Jesuit Edmund Wallace, of course. Edward Bennett Williams represented Victor Posner. Yeah. He also represented the Reverend Sung Mung Moon, who I think could have been a possible late Jesuit. If you type in Sung Mung Moon Jesuits, you can see a Jesuit in America magazine article from 1979 praising Sung Mung Moon and saying that like the Moonies and Catholics are very similar. Moon was very close to the CIA. The Moonies owned like mines, they owned newspapers, they had natural resource assets. They were involved in the drug trade. They were close with Klaus Barbie, just for a few. But yeah, do some. There's research out there on the Moon cult's connection to the CIA. Interestingly, like the CIA in Korea is called like the CIA. It's called like the KCIA, the Korean Central Intelligence Agency. The Moon cult like really strong. There's Soy Gang University in 1960, right when the Moon cult was popping up, and like right at the height of the Korean War. Jesuit trained Alexander Haig and a Knight of Malta was one of the high ups in the U.S. Army overseeing the Korean War. We see here Edward Bennett Williams went to the Jesuit College of the Holy Cross, and he went to Georgetown University Law Center. Would you look at that? And successfully defended, among others, Adam Clayton Powell Jr. He also defended the Teamsters Union, John Bowden Connolly Jr. And he also defended Michael Milken as one of his last clients. Yeah. So he's defending all these like traders, like who have like engaged in these like fraud, like shady insiders. Oh, look at this. He let me see here. I just saw the name Pete Rozelle. Pete Rozelle was a Jesuit-trained commissioner of the National Football League. He went to the University of San Francisco. He was the commissioner for 29 years, trained by the Jesuits. Good Irish Catholic. You see, like Edward Bennett Williams, like he was prominent. Like there's the Edward Bennett Williams Law Library at Georgetown, and the senior apartments residence at the Jesuit College of the Holy Cross is named after him. You see some of his family. Apparently, his daughter Agnes Williams is on the board of advisors at the Georgetown Center for Liturgy. And Edward Bennett Williams was a Knight of Malta. He owned the Washington Redskins and the Baltimore Orioles outright for a bit. He was also the treasurer for the DNC. Oh, that's funny. And then I've read in Declassified, this guy Edward Bennett Williams was being I think he was on the National Security Council for a bit. He was being briefed by the National Security Council and by Allen Dulles and the likes of the CIA. This guy is probably, though, in terms of like American powered like trial lawyers, he's like right up there. Actually, I'm going to show you one here. I'm going to show you a case from the Teapot Dome scandal. Let me just find this here. I found some really interesting information because Edward Doheny, the Teapot Dome scandal was like an anomaly because Edward Doheny, who gave the $100,000 to Albert Fall, was not found guilty of giving the bribe, but Albert Fall, who received the bribe from Doheny, was found guilty. And I found out Dohany's lawyer just coincidentally went to Georgetown University, Frank Hogan. Okay. You see, all the players in the Teapot Dome scandal were Catholic. Albert St. Clair of the St. Clair Oil Company was Catholic. Robert Fall himself was Catholic. Edward Doheny was a papal knight, and Frank J. Hogan, his lawyer, was a devout Catholic. I wrote here, the Teapot Dome scandal is today still unprecedented in the sense that Albert Fall, the Secretary of the Interior, was found guilty of taking the $100,000 bribe from Doheny. Yet Doheny was found not guilty of giving the $100,000 bribe. This was so because Ed Doheny's lawyer during the trial, Frank J. Hogan, went to Jesuit Georgetown University, and the Jesuits are at the very top of the American hierarchy and effectively completely control the United States. The same Jesuit school is advocating for population control. In 2016, the Jesuit philosophy department wrote a paper titled, quote, Population Engineering and the Fight for Climate Change. And I linked that source here. But look, so this is the lawyer here, though, Frank J. Hogan. He also represented President Warren Harding and banker Andrew Mellon. You see here, he studied law at Georgetown University. Okay, he practiced law while working for the War Department during the day. See, look at that. He worked for the War Department while practicing law. He co-founded the Washington law firm Hogan and Hartson, which is still one of the most prominent DC law firms to this day. I showed you that Brendan Sullivan worked for Hogan and Hartson. And you see here from 1912 to 1919, for over 7 years, Frank J. Hogan lectured at Georgetown University. You look at that. You see here, his most notable case was the defense of papal knight Ed Doheny and the Pan American Petroleum Transport Company in a series of trials from 1924 to 1930. Okay, he also, let me see here. So he also, other clients included the General Electric Company and Swift Company. Okay. And actually, this devout Jesuit-trained lawyer, Frank J. Hogan, who got Doheny off, even made it to the Time magazine covers here, March 11th, 1935. Frank J. Hogan, right there. And I found a really interesting quote here from this book, The Dark Side of Fortune, Triumph and Scandal in the Life of Ed Doheny. I'm just going to read this. This is really interesting. Actually, here's a photo of Ed Doheny, like, grinning after his Jesuit-trained lawyer, Hogan, got him off on the Teapot Dome scandal. There's Doheny afterwards, after being acquitted. But look at here. So this is the photo from the book, The Dark Side of Fortune. So although Doheny said he would have more to go to conclusion for a much-needed rest, he remained in the public eye, staging a series of high-profile appearances at various feats, including an appreciation banquet held in honor at the Biltmore Hotel, January 10th, 1927. Over 400 prominent citizens, including the mayor of Los Angeles, the mayor of San Francisco, Hollywood movie stars, top businessmen and financiers, and look at this, and high-ranking officials of the Catholic Church, I repeat, and high-ranking officials of the Catholic Church honored Doheny at the dinner. This occasion assumed a semi-official air when the invitations were posted bearing the historic seal of the city of Los Angeles. Frank Hogan, the banquet's featured speaker, declared that Doheny's Washington, D.C. victory was won after, quote, every fact and document concerning the assailed transactions had been placed before the court and jury. What a that's a joke. Hogan then called Doheny, quote, one of our greatest patriots, end quote. The room exploded into a thundering standing ovation. Ned, dressed in black tie and seated next to his father at the head table, leaped to his feet, clapped and cheering. Unfortunately, Albert Fall, returning to his Three Rivers Ranch in Mexico, did not receive a similar reception. He still faced other conspiracy charges with Henry Sinclair and found himself ostracized by many of his peers. Stressed by the intolerably long trial, Fall became ill with pneumonia. I mentioned here that like Albert Fall should have got himself a lawyer from a Jesuit college. That's where he made his mistake. But you see here, like, these are just like celebrity lawyers. Like, actually, I'll show you Frank Hogan's Wikipedia page. Oh, I didn't link it in this. Very high-profile celebrity lawyers that seem to always be Jesuit trained. Okay, there's his Wikipedia page here. There's a photo of him, Frank Hogan, the lawyer. Yeah, that's a pretty big list here, but like I just wanted to show you guys that. Probably the most shocking one I found was the the lawyer for the West Memphis Three, just because like that was just like a disgusting, like the way the celebrities came to the defense like of those guys. Like they murdered like those children. Those children were murdered. Like it's I don't know, it was gross. And like their lawyer Stephen Brada, literally as plugged in as you can get. You see a bunch of Fairfield, Georgetown, editor of the Georgetown Law, and he taught law at Georgetown. And see, he also defended Michael Scanlon. He pleaded guilty to corruption charges, interestingly there. He's currently a director at the University of Virginia. Yeah, I think that's all for this one. Interestingly, actually, I'll show you the YouTube video of Oliver North. I showed the whole. I showed earlier in the video, like North's attorney. Actually, Fawn Hill also like another key player in the Contra scandal. Fawn Hill, Oliver North's secretary, had a Jesuit-trained lawyer, Plato Chacharis. Oliver North's attorney was Brendan Sullivan Jr. You see, you type in. Yeah, like right here. So yeah, this was the video here. It's pretty comical. You're, like seeing him like giving current input on Iran. But yeah, I think that's all for this one, YouTube. I'm gonna see if anyone's in the comments quick. Also, like I recommend going through like the Jesuit alumni list of like in particular the lawyer section. Like I haven't even commented on the Supreme Court justices. Just go, let alone like just the lawyers. You see here like Yahoo's executive general counsel Michael Callahan went to Georgetown. Like there's all sorts of names. Lockheed Martin's general counsel Stephen Edward Smith. See, financial analyst, political strategist, and he was a brother-in-law of JFK. Interestingly, who went to Georgetown and was Lockheed Martin's head lawyer. There's lots of interesting connections. You see here, Lockheed Martin actually has a current scholarship program with Jesuit Santa Clara University, and like Lockheed Martin in the 70s gave millions of dollars to the Knight of Malta pedophile Nazi Prince Bernhard, who was one of the co-founders of the Bilderberg Group alongside the late Jesuit Joseph Rettinger. But let me see here. I think. Yes, yeah. I just wanted to confirm. Yeah, it was Brendan Sullivan was the Oliver North attorney. I just wanted to make sure I was right on that. The Oliver North attorney went to Georgetown. And it's not just Georgetown. Like it's all over the place. Like if you go to Fordham, every Jesuit school is going to have prominent alumni, and like every Jesuit school has big time puppets. You see here, Denzel Washington went to Fordham, Patricia Clarkson, John Benjamin Hickley, and like all these Hollywood puppets. You got to remember, the guy who wrote the Hollywood Motion Picture Code. I wrote like I have this guy's autobiography where he admits to writing the code, but I put these quotes in a blog post I did on Daniel A. Lord S.J. This Jesuit priest here, like, actually drafted the Hollywood Motion Picture Code. Like, Hollywood has been nothing but Jesuit theater for quite some time now. Like, an actual fully ordained, like, probably a fourth vow Jesuit, Daniel A. Lord. Like, he was a prominent Jesuit. Like, he drafted the Motion Picture Code. Okay. And like he actually brags in his autobiography saying that like they were very happy that there was no quote bigotry at the time that highlighted that the code was written by a Jesuit, and they decided to mask his role in writing the code. And he said that the code being quote the industry's code was the better method than it being known that Hollywood's motion picture code was written by a Jesuit. So you see all these celebrity lawyers, you know, I covered a decent amount, but you like Chris Brown's lawyer, Mark Geragos, like Black China's lawyer, the Kardashian lawyer, Robert Chaparro, who's defended a whole bunch of other celebrities, Old Dirty Bastard, Daryl Strawberry, Vince Coleman, Johnny Carson. It's all over the place. Yeah, I think that's just reading the comments here quickly. Yeah, absolutely, the Jesuits are the Illuminati. Let me show you. If you guys haven't seen this, this is very enlightening. This is even on the Catholic New Advent Encyclopedia. Let me see here. Oh, my spelling's butchered right now. Yeah, if you guys go to the Catholic Encyclopedia, it'll actually admit to you that the Illuminati. So it'll say the Adam Weishaupt modeled the Illuminati at the Society of Jesus. So look here. So this is from a Catholic source. Adam Weishaupt. We see you're born of Westphalian parents at Ingolstadt. This is the founder of the Illuminati. Okay. This is under, you see here, Illuminati. Weishaupt, educated at a Jesuit school. It says here that he fell under the influence of his free-thinking godfather, the director of the high school at Istak, who he owed his appointment. As professor of civil law, he was actually a professor of canon law. Actually, he was a professor of civil law at Ingolstadt. Weishaupt was the first layman to occupy the chair of canon law at this university in 1773. I've even seen Manly Palmer Hall write about, when he was writing on Weishaupt, that the Jesuits were the only teachers of the position of canon law for like the past hundreds of years before Weishaupt began teaching canon law. But you see here, I'm just going to show you, where's the quote here? So this is talking about Weishaupt's order. His order, that being the Illuminati, was to be based entirely off of human nature and observation. Hence, its degrees, ceremonies, and statues were to be developed only gradually. Then, in light of experience and wider knowledge, and with the cooperation of all the members, they were to be steadily improved. For his prototype, he relied mainly on Freemasonry. And I've written a blog post on this, the 32nd degree of Freemasonry. The motto of the degree of the royal secret is none other than ad morgium al gloriam, the motto of the Jesuit. Continuing here, Weishaupt's prototype relied mainly on Freemasonry, in accordance which he modeled the degrees and ceremonial of his order. After the pattern of the Society of Jesus, though distorting to the one point of character its essential features, he built up strictly the hierarchical association of his society. I repeat, this is from the Catholic Encyclopedia, commenting on Adam Weishaupt, the founder of the Illuminati. After the pattern of the Society of Jesus, though distorting the point of caricature its essential features, he built up the strictly hierarchical organization of his society. I thought that was incredible that they admit that even on like their own encyclopedia, that like he modeled the Illuminati off the hierarchical structure of the Society of Jesus, because the Jesuits are absolutely slaves to their superiors and like have no will of their own, and like they have to do whatever their superior tells them to do, no matter what. That's just how the Jesuit system works. Absolute obedience. Lockheed Martin, like where the Turpin dad. I'm not sure who's the Turpin dad. I'm not sure who you're referring to with that. I know Lockheed Martin, and I found out recently that I've gone through there's a current if you go through their current executive team, one of the senior vice presidents went to Jesuit Fairfield University. But like recently, even in this, I want to say, so Lockheed Martin gave $1 million to Donald Trump in 2017. So they're dishing out cash. I recommend you read some of like the Lockheed Martin comprehensive annual financial reports, because like they openly talk about like how like they literally like companies like Lockheed and DuPont and like Hercules Chemicals like literally like 40 to 50% of their business comes from like government military contracts and from foreign governments as well. Like Lockheed, I think I was reading in their 2016 annual report how like they got a military deal with the Saudi Arabian government. Like, so they disclose a lot of that information in their annual reports, because they know that most people like will never ever read one of their annual reports, I think. But search, but yeah, like I have a blog with some information on it. I'll show you that here. If you type in Reddit Jesuit World Order, there isn't a ton of information on this, but I think you'd find some of it valuable. I've also put a link to my online library page, which has like at this point now like has like 172 uploads. I recommend you guys find this here, read this here, a declassified OSS file here, special black reports. You'll see that like the Jesuits actually acted as like some of like the prime informants for the OSS's information. But all these information, all these stories and books and declassified memos on this online library page will be good use to you and will like get you up to date on what's going on. But this is my blog post here that I wrote a few articles on, and like this is a public forum page. So I saw that this guy, I forget what it says, username is deleted, but this guy posted here a quote from John Adams commenting on the Jesuits. So like if you guys want to add information to this blog, you can. But I've made a few posts here. I made a post on Harry Truman, some of his connections with Fordham University. This was really interesting. I put this on my library page, but the CIA claimed from the CIA's own documents. It says Allen Dulles met with Heinrich Himmler, showing you how controlled World War II was. Let me see here. I'm gonna say if there's one article you should read on my page, I'd say it's this one here. I put together. Diego de Gardaquis, Spanish ambassador to the United States, was a devout Catholic and an agent of the Jesuits. This just shows that the Jesuits were very involved with the founding of America right from the beginning. And Tupper Saucy's book, Rulers of Evil, is a good read for information on that as well. This was insane. I don't know, like this was, if you guys have heard like this is known as like the Homosexual Manifesto. This was like from a paper called Michael Swift called The Gay Revolutionary, where he actually like declares war on straight people. I don't know, like I've seen some sites claim this was like a hoax or like a satire, but like I found this on the Jesuit Fordham University's website. So like I don't know, like, Francis the Jesuit walking around with his LGBT crosses, and so like if it's on Fordham's website, like if you read this like page, like this is like literally like a war being declared on straight people. Like it's humorous, but it's also like very like shocking and concerning. Like reading, like if you're watching the video, like pause, like just read what's on the screen. This is literally coming from the Fordham website. Like he's talking really weird stuff, but I posted that on my page. Let me see if there's any other. Oh, this was a good one here that I put together. I showed some of the connections with between the Jesuits and J. Edgar Hoover. But yeah, but like if you want to read some our Jesuit / World Order, like also like if you want to a researcher that I collaborate with that has good information is Johnny Cerrucci. Like he has some books out. I plan on buying Eaters of Children very soon. But like his website has some good articles on it here. Let me show you here. SpirituallySmart.com has good articles. Just relevant articles on the papacy also. There's some good information even on the Rome. I used to write on the Rome Rules subreddit that still has some good information on it. I'll show you. There are some good internet sites, that are putting the truth out there. Yeah, but I think that's all for this one, YouTube. I don't want to ramble on too long. But yeah, the celebrity lawyers, most of them are trained by the Jesuits if you look into it. But I think that's all for this one. Peace and love. Namaste.